Ladies and gents, today I'm going to be ranking my Zara fragrances. Some of these were like splitting hairs. Stay tuned to find out. What is good, YouTube? Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Mikey Cologne, and if you're tuned in, as always people, thank you very much for doing so. It does mean a hell of a lot. That is right, today I have a ranked list for you. I've got 6 Zara fragrances to go through. A lot of these were like splitting hairs. Reason being is that I like all of these fragrances. There is not one that I dislike. They're all well blended, they're smooth, there is no rough edges, they smell of quality. So it was hard to put these in position, so to speak. But coming in first, or coming in last I should say, at number 6 is Evening Safari Drive. This is a very nice fragrance, but like I say, it had to go somewhere, and I do like the other ones better. The atomizers on these bottles are fantastic. Look how much juice comes out, look. Nice atomizer. Right, you've got cypress, cedar, sandalwood, vanilla, tonka bean and eucalyptus. So it opens woodsy, spicy, fresh, a little bit aromatic. Once the opening calms down, this smoky quality comes in, along with the sandalwood. And I know the smoky quality is not coming from the sandalwood, but there is a smoky quality to this fragrance. And then that sandalwood turns a little bit creamy, and it has some powdery edges. As the fragrance dries down more and more, the tonka bean and vanilla start to come through, so the fragrance gets a nice little bit of sweetness to it. It never becomes overly sweet. I would say that this is semi-sweet, but it's just enough to tame down the edges of the woods and of that smoky quality that this fragrance does have. This, to me, is definitely more on the masculine side, and I think that this would be well suited if you was a little bit dressed up, or if you go to work in an office and you wear a shirt and tie, or you're just looking smart in general when you're rocking this fragrance. It will go hand in hand. But like I say, it had to go somewhere, and it is number 6, and that is Evening Safari Drive. Great fragrance, but I failed to mention at the beginning of this review that I'm not going to pronounce any of the perfumers' names because I don't want to butcher any of their names. So I'm going to leave them up on screen so you know which perfumer done what fragrance. But coming in at number 5 is Magnificent Black. This fragrance is more on the darker side of things, especially when this opens up. Let me just spray it. The atomizer on this bottle isn't as good as the other atomizers, so I think I got a dodgy atomizer on this. Right, you got amber, violet, leather, patchouli, cedar, vetiver, jasmine, mineral notes and water notes. Right, straight away, this is heavy on the woods, and that leather hits your nose. And the leather comes across a little bit butch at first. Then after a couple of minutes, when that leather note calms down, it turns smooth. So it starts out a little bit butch and loud and woodsy, and then after a couple of minutes, it calms down. And then that amber comes in, adding this semi-sweet balsamic nuance. And then after another couple of minutes, you get the jasmine and the violet. The jasmine is sort of adding this freshness into the fragrance, whereas the violet is adding this ever so slight powdery touch. Plus it adds to that sweetness that you've already got in the fragrance. And then once it dries down more and more, then mineral notes, I do detect a very faint salty nuance. Like when I started wearing this fragrance, I didn't really pick it up. I thought it was just the sweetness coming through. But the more and more I wore this, my nose was picking up on this salty nuance, and to me that must be coming from either the mineral notes or the water notes, and that is basically the life of the fragrance. So it does have some changes, but like I say, it is a little bit more on the darker side of things, and to me this is another one that leans on the masculine side. I think when it gets into the late dry down, it does turn a little bit more, I would say, unisex, leaning masculine, but this does open up to my nose masculine. The longevity on this, I get 5 to 6 hours. It is a good fragrance. It is smooth. Like I say, it is well blended, but it had to go somewhere, and I ranked it as number 5, and that is Magnificent Black. Number 4, it is Majestic Green, which by the name you'd think that this would be a full-on green fragrance, and it isn't. If you like vanilla fragrances, you will appreciate this. It does smell really good. This is a simple fragrance, but the scent profile, it is great. Great atomizer. Right, you got vanilla, sandalwood, cardamom, cedar and black pepper. It opens soft, spicy. There is a little dose of freshness in there up top, and then you get the vanilla straight away, so it's vanillic, soft, spicy, and then the sandalwood and the cedar gives this fragrance a woodsy backbone. But the way that sandalwood mixes in with the vanilla, you get this creamy facet, and that is the life of the fragrance. It does have a nice dose of sweetness in there, but remember, it's a simple fragrance. But if you enjoy vanilla fragrances, you will enjoy Majestic Green. I do get an ever so slight green nuance when this first, like after about a minute or two, maybe that green nuance that I'm picking up comes from the cardamom, but it is very short-lived. Like, it's more soft, spicy and vanillic than what it is green. Great fragrance, straight up unisex. This would be good on a date night, or if you're having a date night dinner in with your other half, or you're just snuggling up on the sofa, this fragrance will go well. It's just got that cozy, cuddly nature to it, and it does smell really good. Longevity, 4 to 5 hours, so it's not a beast mode. To be fair, none of these fragrances on my skin are beast mode. But it's not about that. It's about the quality of the juice that you're paying for. And for the price that you pick these up for, like if you was blindfolded and you smelt these fragrances, you would think that they were a lot more or cost a lot more than what they really do, because they're so well blended. But coming in at number 4, it is Majestic Green. Still a stunner. Coming in at number 3, it is Imperial Purple. This is a great fragrance. If you enjoy Valentino Uomo Intense, Dior Homme Intense, this fragrance, Imperial Purple, does have slight similarities to them fragrances. I done a full review on this the other day, so if you want to go and check that out, go and have a look. Right, you got iris, leather, woodsy notes, cereal, praline and vanilla. This opens up fresh. To me, it's like a citric blast, but there is no citruses listed in the note breakdown. And then once that opening calms down after a minute or so, the iris and the leather come through. The leather is very smooth and subdued. The iris does have an ever so slight lipsticky vibe to it, but yet again, it's a little bit subdued. And then the woodsy notes come in, the praline is adding some additional sweetness into the fragrance. The vanilla, you do get some vanillic touches once the fragrance starts drying down. This is quite a linear fragrance on me. Everything sort of happens over about 5 minutes. Like I get the freshness up top, and then the iris and the leather come in, and then the wood straight after, and then like I say, you get the sweetness in there, and then the vanilla does start coming through after about 5 to 7 minutes, and that is how the fragrance stays. This is airy, this is light. Like I said, Dior Homme Intense and Valentino Uomo Intense, they're more full-bodied and a little bit more denser, whereas this is fresher, lighter and airier, but you still get nuances from them other two fragrances. This is a solid release. I get 4 or 5 hours of longevity, but the quality of the juice is outstanding. It really is. But I had to put it somewhere, and I've ranked it 3rd place, and that is Imperial Purple. Stunning fragrance. Coming in at number 2, can you guess it? It is Regal White. This is my jam. This smells great. Quickly, this does slightly remind me of Loewe's Paula's Ibiza. Ever so slightly. Like every now and again I'll get a nuance that comes through. Straight away what comes to my mind is this fragrance. But they do different things. They go their own direction. But I just wanted to put that in there. Alright, let me just spray this. This does smell good. Fresh, woodsy. Right, you got coconut water, vetiver, fig, ambroxan and chestnut. So fresh, but it opens aquatic as well. And then after a couple of minutes, that aquatic sort of facet dissipates and then turns into an aromatic. So fresh, aquatic, woodsy, then aromatic, and then that aquatic sort of facet just dissipates. And after about 5 minutes, I'll get this green undertone come through. And along with that green undertone is the coconut water, and you do get that. But also, that coconut does have a creamy side to it. Not lactonic by any means, but it does have a creamy side. So it's watery, but also slightly creamy. I failed to mention yet again, in Regal White, the vetiver in this does go a little bit smoky. Not heavy, but it does have a smoky side to the fragrance. I apologise. Right, the chestnut. When I first started wearing this, again, I didn't pick up on it. But the more and more I wore this, I did get a nutty sort of nuance that come through. Very light, but it is there, and it just finishes the fragrance off perfectly. This is a great smelling fragrance. Very versatile. You can dress this down, you can dress it up, you can wear it when you're running chores, you can wear it if you're going out for drinks. Plus, I think that this is an all year round fragrance. You can wear it in the winter, spring, summer. This will go great in many occasions, and all of these are worth the money. But hence why this is coming in at number 2, because I love the scent profile, and this is very well done, and that is Regal White. We are at the number 1 spot. Remember, this was like splitting hairs because I enjoy all of these fragrances. I've enjoyed wearing all of these, and I'm going to continue to enjoy wearing them. But coming in at number 1, it is Full Moon Over the Desert. You have to appreciate leather to like this fragrance. But this is smooth. The way it's blended, it's quality. Let me just spray it. Right, you got leather, caramel, sand, iris, woodsy notes, pink pepper, bergamot, evenol. Full on leather when this first opens up. And it's dark, deep, rich. Once that leather calms down, the iris comes through, just adding this powdery quality to the fragrance. Then you get a woodsy undertone. This is soft, spicy. Plus, the leather does have an ever so slight smoky side to it. But it doesn't, that caramel adds some sweetness into the fragrance. And to me, that sort of tames down the edges of that leather nuance that is in this fragrance, because the woods never become too much. But I think the leather could become too much. And I think that sweetness from the caramel and that bergamot is just sort of calming the edges down so it never becomes too dark. But the leather note in this fragrance, it's got depth to it, it's rich, it's semi-sweet, and like I say, you do get a little bit of spice, but it's soft spice. Like, this is not a full-on spicy fragrance, but it does have a little bit of spice there. And I put this at number 1 because every time I've worn this, I've just thought to myself, yeah, this is my favourite one out of the bunch. This is my favourite one out of the bunch, and hence that is why it's turned up at number 1. And before I forget, this does go a little bit earthy on the late dry down. Like through the mid it doesn't, but once it gets into the late dry down, this earthy undertone comes in. Not full on, but it does have an earthy side to this fragrance. And this will go great, my friends, if you're going out. If you're dressed up to the nines and you're looking smart and dapper and you want to smell great, this would be the fragrance to wear. I wouldn't rock this on hotter days. This is for cooler evenings. The longevity, 5 to 6 hours. It pushes moderate for the first hour and a bit, and then it starts to sit closer as the hours go by, and by the 6th hour it's very faint. But it's the quality of the juice, and for what you're paying for these fragrances, they're all worth the money and some. Right, people, that is my 6 Zara fragrances ranked. Let me know if you've tried any of these. Let me know which ones you would put where. Did I make the right choice? I think I did. Thank you for sticking with me, people. Remember, smelling good's always a pleasure and never a chore, and I will see you lot on the next one. Cheers.